So we've seen signs like this all over the place, but climate change is something that we don't really talk about. It's like some of the other problems that we've heard about today. And when I see a sign like this and it suggests, that by not changing the bed sheets and them not servicing me, that we're saving water, and that's a good thing, and it is a good thing. But it says save the planet, and is not changing bed sheets going to save the planet? How do we know when the planet is saved if we're supposed to be doing that? So it's interesting to see these, and we get suggestions all the time from these signs. I think that I know something about green products because I made a product that is green, happens to be green. I helped design the Swiffer sweeper here, and so I would think that I know a little bit about these things. But it was kind of a blow to my ego when I saw one of these beautiful creations in the trash behind my house. That was not what I designed it for. And it's something that has gotten me interested in how products contribute to the issue of climate change. And that is something that I have learned about since then, called embodied energy. And embodied energy means that it talks about the energy that is represented by a product's life cycle. Taking the raw materials out of the ground requires a certain amount of energy. Then actually forming the materials into a product and shipping it to a store requires oil, more oil to take it to your home once you've gotten to the store and bought it. And then once you're done, it's disposed of. And so this has gotten me interested in how the climate change issue works into this. So just a little bit of background. This is a simplified version of the greenhouse effect. When you look at the atmosphere, there is all kinds of gases, and we need those gases to have an atmosphere and to live. And one of those gases is carbon dioxide, and it is something that a little bit goes a long way. And we've had always a little bit in the atmosphere, and we keep on adding to it. And so what happens here is the solar radiation from the sun, it warms everything on the ground, it gives photosynthesis, and so plants can grow, which is a great thing. We like plants, we like to eat them. And some of that radiation goes back out into space. And that's a good thing, because if we had more of these greenhouse gases, they actually act to keep some of that radiation from going back out into space, and it comes back down to the Earth and helps to warm it a little bit more. So for a long time, all of recorded human history, about 11,000 years before the Industrial Revolution, the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere was around 280 parts per million, give or take about 5 or so parts per million. And parts per million is a way of measuring the CO2 content in the atmosphere. After about 250 years of creating things and burning fossil fuels, we have pushed that up to about 392 parts per million. And if we keep going, MIT recently came out with a study earlier this year that said we are on our way to 800 parts per million. So is that a problem? You can see all the little factories down here, and we're continuing on course. This is the lead climate scientist at NASA. And he, after doing a study with his team, concluded that the carbon concentration in the atmosphere that he had observed in what he calls paleoclimatology, which is studying ice cores and looking back in history, he basically says that everything has been below 350 parts per million. And if humanity wishes to preserve a planet similar to that on which civilization developed and which life on Earth is adapted, CO2 will need to be reduced from its current level of 390 parts per million to 350. That's a pretty heavy statement. This is not marketing talking. This is someone who just observes what he sees. And that makes 350 the most important number on the planet. If you think about it, the entire economy is contained within the environment, and the atmosphere is a big part of that. That we're past 350 is why we're seeing some of the things that, like the ice caps melting, some of the extreme weather that we've been seeing. And so some people recognize that that's a pretty big deal, and they created an organization called 350.org. And they're trying to get the word out. That is the entire point of this. And it's a good thing because 350 happens to be a number, and numbers are universal. And all over the world, people have, since 2008, said this is a pretty big deal. And so they've held these mass rallies on a particular day in every year. And last year, in 2010, there were around 7,500 organized events that happened. And this was one that I helped organize down and over the Rhine, where we built a hoop house for one of the Findlay Market Farms, urban farms there. So 350 is the goal. And that's a pretty different world than what we have now. We have to think about the embodied energy that is in everything that we have. And we have to think differently about the way that we interact in our relationship with products and the way that we use and create energy. So, you know, Dr. Seuss, this book is 40 years old this year. I just learned that earlier. And, you know, I read this to my son along with a bunch of other things, and one way we can think about this is, do we really need a lot of the things that we have? You know, in this book, he calls them needs, things that we think we need. And, you know, everyone has stuff, the things, the objects that they care about. Right, and we can think about a lot of objects that we don't really care about also, and that's something that I think is a positive change if we do that. Now, I read this stuff to him, and he just wants to eat it up, of course, and so that's a good thing. But for a product like this, you know, what I needed was this roller. I didn't need the packaging. So, you know, you look at one side, and it's something that can be recycled, and the other thing is a formed piece of material that is going to sit in a landfill, and it is something that I used for a very short period of time, and it was used in a store for a very short period of time. So one way that we can address this problem is to draw these two things closer together, the length of time that a material is useful and that it is used. And so my cat is on the bottom of this picture. You can barely see the whiskers, but this is our recycling bin. Recycling is another big thing because the embodied energy gets used again. It takes a lot more energy to create materials than to have to recreate them. To recreate the materials is more energy, sorry. So if you take everything in this bin and all the things that are plastic and make something new out of the plastic, then you're removing a lot of the energy that it takes. And so when you look at some of the recycle rates here, I think we should declare war on San Francisco, at least for the recycle rate. There's a lot of room for improvement, and part of this was policy change. So we really need a plastic cup to take from graders that they give to us for free, because I don't want it after it's done. So why not take from disposables to durables? You know, I bring that with me, and they fill it up, and I say thank you. And maybe they give me a discount too, because they didn't have to buy the cups to begin with. Here's another example of durables. There's plenty of examples, they're growing more every day, of things that are completely 100% either recyclable materials or have been made out of recycled materials. This gives a pretty good example showing that for this company, they say on average every pound of recycled plastic is enough energy to run a laptop for a computer for a month. That's a lot of energy. Running TVs for 3 weeks. So this adds up. You can imagine the stuff that you have at home. We need to lengthen the life of products, and this includes, you know, things like the goodwill, so that once you're done with it, maybe someone else can use it. This is a vintage store near my home. Vintage is pretty cool. I mean, I see some things over at Target that are based off of the 60s. Well, why not go and get some stuff that actually was from the 60s? Sometimes it can be really challenging in your imagination. This was a project where I went to a place called Building Value in Northside, and they have old kitchen cabinets and stuff that people don't want anymore. And you almost feel bad like giving something to someone, but one man's junk is another man's treasure. And what I decided I could do with this was to create a kid's kitchen playset. Anyone see that at the beginning? So turn something old and make it into something new. Buying local is aimed at removing a little bit of the need to go out of your way to get something. But one step further is to actually buy local products from local retailers and things that were actually made there at the store. And this is a case at my place. And these are made out of recycled materials. And we're responsible for making the future, and let's make it 350. Thank you very much.